Welcome to the Soberish Uprising, formerly known as Question Everything. My name is Holly Kerbaka-Pitch, and I started Question Everything about a year ago. And about 5 months ago, I had a little bit of a pause, right? I am all about pivots. The more we embrace the pivots, the more we embrace the changes, the more we embrace like that inner knowing of like, maybe this isn't it, this is it, the better our life gets, right? I mean, the more we question everything, everything changes. And at that point, I was in the middle of my question everything with alcohol, my soberish experience, and everything had shifted for me. And I got to thinking of all the ways my life has changed since becoming soberish as somebody who had no intention of ever leading a sober lifestyle. What that's done, I knew this is the platform I wanted to use to tell other people's stories, to share my story, how I've done this, what's come up for me, the things that have been challenging, the things that have been easier than I thought, harder than I thought, and share other people doing soberish in their own way, right? We are sober, we're sober-ish, we're California sober, we're teetotalers, we're boozers. We are all coming here, but really to explore what a soberish lifestyle looks like. This is a place of non-judgment. There's no shame. There's no guilt. We don't get caught in, I should have, I could have, I would have. We really just focus on where we're at now and where we want to go. So I'm so excited to bring you really powerful stories from people just like you who are saying, hey, this isn't what I want to do around alcohol anymore. Like this just isn't for me, because that's what happened to me. And again, it's everything in my life has shifted. So I just want to share a little bit today in this episode about my story of becoming soberish. It was September 12th, 2021, and I was with a group of girlfriends, and we were in cute little town, and we were at the pool. We had rosé at the pool. We had a wine at dinner. We had cocktails afternoon. Cocktails after dinner. And this memory is still so vivid to me. And I don't know why it was at this time. I do believe when you're ready, right? We can't make people do things. And, but in that moment, I was sitting there and it was like 12:31 in the morning and everything was just like a little hazy. And I knew I had drank too much. Gin and tonics. Speaking of gin and tonics, we're gonna do mocktails too. We're gonna do mocktails here because being soberish does not mean you are not super fun and have a great time. I digress. And so and I was sitting there and I remember just like kind of hazy and not feeling great and wanting to go to bed and being like not totally present for this moment with like my really good group of girlfriends and thinking, I can't do this anymore. Like I just can't. This can't be who I am, right? And at the moment, I'm having a coaching business. I'm working with amazing clients. We had just moved back from overseas the year before. Like I was nailing life, right? Like it was great. Like I had no complaints, but I just remember being like, I can't operate like this anymore. This can't just be who I am. And so I woke up that next morning, still with that intention, but this hadn't been the first time I had thought about quitting. Nobody would be surprised that I'm like, this is when I'm going to get my shit together, right? I'm not going to drink. I'm going to wait till Thursday when I have that happy hour. And then, Tuesday hits and it's like a nice day. And you're like, okay, I'll have a glass of wine, and this wasn't me binging. Although as soon as I said that, I'm like, it probably, by the definition is binging, right? A heavy drinker for a woman is 8 drinks a week, which very easily most weeks, right? And so I hadn't, it's not that I hadn't tried before. It's not that I hadn't thought about it. It's not that I hadn't questioned, like, how do you wake up and want to change the world and do big things and then just like not treat your body well, right? Just not. And so drove home September 13th from our little getaway. Don't even count that day as my first day of being soberish because I had drinks till probably 1 a.m. And I was honestly probably still buzzed when I drove home, or that was in my system, right? So started this soberish journey, right? Of what this looked like. And I think there were 2 things that were really helpful for me. One, like every single change I've made in my life, every single client I work with, anybody I talk to, we change when we get sick of our own shit. We just get sick of it. We're sick and tired of being sick and tired. We're just over ourselves, right? We're just so over it. We're like, I can't do this, that. And then the soberish. If you would have told me I had to be totally sober for the rest of my life, that would have felt like going to the moon. That would have felt like I would have been here and like sober, completely sober would have been like across the world. I don't know. Outer space. I don't know. Not anywhere close, right? So I knew that I couldn't do that. And I also know that we have to set these manageable goals. So I said, okay, I'm going to do the soberish experience. I didn't call it soberish at the time. I was like, I just need a hard reset, right? And so life's great. So this is September 12th, September 13th, which September 14th is when the day I kind of started this. And so I started it with Napa Napa, we were going to Napa in November. And so I said, hey, I'm just not going to drink till we go to Napa, right? That's 60 days. It's a long time. Honestly, I don't think I'd gone 60 days without drinking not ever, but since I probably started drinking in college. But it's also totally doable, right? I knew 60 days, if I put my mind to it, was nothing. So Napa came up, ended up getting canceled. We didn't go, which feels on brand for a lot of people, right? You're like, I'm not going to quit. And then I'm going to go to Napa and just like rage. But I didn't. And so we didn't go to Napa and I just kept it going. And then I got to Christmas, and I remember Christmas, I had a glass of wine, and I remember it was a conscious choice, and it was my first glass of wine in probably like 90 to 100 days, right? I hadn't drank or anything. And I remember going to bed and waking up, and it was like 10 o'clock the next day. And I remembered, I was like, oh, I had a drink. Because so many times when I was drinking more consistently, it was waking up at 2 or 3 in the morning, just like with a headache, mind racing, heart a little palpitation, and just the self berating that would happen, right? Like, why'd you do that? You can't keep a promise. Starting my day with lethargy because I either didn't sleep or was just a little bit hungover. And that feeling of being like, that alcohol, I had that, but it wasn't a key factor in my life. It wasn't a leading role. It was just it was like a lamp on the nightstand in a play. It wasn't the leading role, which it had been. And that kind of shifted things for me of like this soberish. So I ended up going 365 days, 32 drinks. I still track my drinks. I have this handy dandy calendar. And currently today I am like almost to 550 days on my soberish journey. I'm about the same pace as I was last year. And again, the reason being soberish is so important to me is that I know that for many of us, sobriety just feels really hard, complete sobriety, right? We're not sure if we want it yet. We're not sure what that would look like, right? How do I want to commit to something when I don't even know what I'm signing up for? And what has changed for me is everything. I have more confidence. I'm more patient. I sleep better. I work out better. I have less anxiety, which I didn't think I was really anxious, but like this slow simmer. And I have more passion for all the things in my life. And, being soberish doesn't mean that I still don't want to go out. I still want to have fun. And I would actually even say I'm more inclined to want to stay out later, to want to do things because I am of clear mind. I can have the energy. I'm not like 2 glasses of wine, Holly, where I'm kind of like tired and all that. But I didn't even know how bad it was till I quit doing it. And again, I wasn't a drinker who was, making really bad decisions. I wasn't in fights. I wasn't, doing really dumb stuff. Like I was a social drinker, right? But I just knew it wasn't working for me, which is why it's really important for me in the soberish is to define your own way of sobriety, right? I have lived I've had some really big life decisions that were against societal norms. And every single time I had to feel really strongly and define what worked for me. And so that's why I'm on passion to show stories of other people being soberish, right? So that we can see other people living this soberish life and say, hey, that could be me. So again, we are a place of non-judgment. We are a place of safety and honesty and vulnerability. We are for all the people. And I just want us to have a fabulous time sharing stories of being soberish, if you're interested, sober curious, whatever you want to do, but let's start making this a normal way of life. Let's start making being soberish a kick-ass thing to be, right? It is the least sad thing that I've ever done. I used to think, totally sober would be sad, and it is anything but that for me. So yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about here. Thank you for tuning in. Would love to hear your story if you're on this this soberish train, and share it with her. So I was going to start with this, but I forgot. For bitter or worse, super cute. There's a little cocktail, alcohol-free spirit store here in Houston. So we're going to give it a try. Always in a wine glass makes it fun. It is berry ginger vacation, and it is very bitter. It's got a lot of bitter in it, but it's something different. Definitely feels like a cocktail. So thank you so much for tuning in. So excited to bring these stories to you. Let's make the soberish uprising the uprising the world needs for us to take our power back from alcohol and just leave big, badass lives. Thanks for tuning in.